divisions that we've ever seen over the past decade. So I look for Cyborg to definitely run through Holly Holm with ease. But Greg Jackson and Mike Winklejohn will have a game plan for Cyborg, but I don't know if Holly Holm can necessarily implement it. But it should be hopefully an entertaining fight, and Cyborg just doesn't completely run through Holly Holm in that particular fight. So
right, exactly. And Courtney Arden says, I agree, Cyborg will win because of her aggressiveness will be too much for Holly Holm. Yeah, she is. Yeah. She's aggressive, but it's, some people are aggressive and they don't connect, or they're aggressive and they're not able to do the ground and pound. She's aggressive and she's effective at it. It's almost, she's like an agitator where it's impossible and it's very, very difficult to get a hold of her. And she's a force to be working with. I know a lot of times we wonder who can beat this person, who can beat that person. To me, she is one of those top people on that list. Like, who is going to be able to beat her, and is it going to be anybody? So it's very interesting to see. Shout out to Big L in the chat room. Once again, you're tuned into the BS3 Sports Show. We got Kevin Gray as guest host, Clutch Talk Sports Radio, X Squad affiliate. So let's get into the weekend sports here. We had a lot of interesting things that went down, a lot of things that we're going to talk about. Shout out to DJ Knox in the chat room. But Dick Enberg ends up passing away. Rest in peace to him. Died at his home at 82. I looked up the stats on him. He has called so many different games, so many different sports, period, that this is a legend that is no longer with us. And I'm saddened that he's gone, but he's lived 82 years. I think I'm a Christian. The Bible says you promise the 75, so he got the 75 and more. I'm sure his family may not necessarily like that comment, but I'm very saddened that he's gone. But I think he has put out a great career and a great resume for people to look at in the future.
Yeah, Dick Enberg has been a guy over the last, obviously, going on 35, 40 years. Yeah. I'm 31 years old, and I can never remember a time where Dick Enberg was never on my television or never on the radio as one of the best broadcasters, one of the best sports broadcasters that we've ever seen come through. Sports broadcasting, sports journalism. His famous "Oh my" call will always live on in the sports world when it comes to broadcasting these games. But I remember him broadcasting NFL games on NBC. His versatility as a broadcaster, I think, is something that folks will remember him most for. A guy who called not only NFL games, NBA games, one of the better tennis commentators that I have ever seen, also with his coverage of tennis over the last several years. So Dick Enberg will be missed, and any commentary that I know that I could provide will not do his career any kind of justice because of how legendary of a broadcaster Dick Enberg was. So he will be sorely missed, and you're starting to see the older generation of these broadcasters, the Dick Enbergs, the Vin Scullys of the world, starting to move on, and hopefully the generation that comes behind these individuals can live up somehow to the legendary status of a Dick Enberg for sure. But he will be sorely missed and passing away at the age of 82, but will live on for sure as one of the best sports broadcasters that we've ever seen in my lifetime for sure.
Yeah, definitely. He's up there with the best of them, and he goes down as having some of the best calls and the best variety. The guy could do some of everything. He wasn't just baseball, wasn't just football, wasn't just basketball, so he did it all. So, talking about basketball, any Lakers fans out there, Kobe gets two, not one, but two numbers retired, number 8, number 24. Obviously, the ceremony was this week. The Mamba, what more can you say? He is, to me, he's number 2 under Jordan. People are starting and they want to put LeBron there. I know people want to, but I don't think LeBron has done enough yet. LeBron is a great player, but I don't think he's done enough yet. But Kobe, he's finally got his retirement, the jersey retirement. The only player I can think of with 2 jerseys retired. And that begs the discussion of number 8 Kobe versus number 24 Kobe. As he got older, to me, his Mamba mentality, his kill or be killed mentality was at an immense high when he had the number 24 jersey. Number 8, I think he was still young. I think he had more hops because he was jumping out of the roof. But I think number 24, Kobe, to me, if I had to pick one of the two, is the one I would go with. But I definitely want to get your thoughts, how you feel about Kobe, and which one you think would be better.
Yeah, just by the numbers, it's amazing the symmetry in the numbers that Kobe had in both the number 8 and the number 24 jersey. He played 10 seasons in both the number 8 and number 24 jerseys. As number 8, he had 8 All-Star selections, was named to the first team All-NBA team 4 times, had 3 championships. In playing in number 24 in 10 seasons, he was selected to the All-Star game 10 times. First team All-NBA 7 times and 2 championships. And what's wild about both of his careers, if you split them both up, his Basketball Reference Hall of Fame probability is well above 99%. So if you split either one of the careers of one Kobe Bryant, he would have been a Hall of Famer either as the number 8 Kobe or the number 24 Kobe. I mean, when you look at Kobe Bryant, this is the thing about Kobe stands, because I'm a Jordan guy. I will always be a Jordan guy. I grew up in the era of Jordan. But Kobe was the closest thing to Jordan. I was listening to Bomani Jones' show earlier this week, and Amin Hassan said it best. Kobe took the worst parts of Michael's game, where he tried to accentuate those more so than what the better parts of what Michael's game was. When we talk about the Mamba mentality, the be killed attitude, not taking any prisoners, those were the better qualities of Michael. Some of the worst qualities of Kobe were some of the things in terms of his isolation from individuals, his ability to not really make too many friends outside of the basketball court. But when he was on the court, he was obviously a killer of the greatest, of the highest order. And one of the things that I think folks give LeBron, don't give LeBron credit for, that they loved about Kobe, was the fact that Kobe was the one, he was going to take the final shot, a la Jordan. You knew who the ball was going to at the end of games, and it was going to be either number 8 or number 24, depending on the year when it was Kobe Bryant. But for me, the way I will remember Kobe Bryant the most, one of the most mentally tough athletes to ever play in the NBA, a guy who had a kill or be killed attitude, but more so, his ability to mature as he got older in his career. Obviously, we all know the histrionics between him and Shaquille O'Neal and their public spat and their relationship that they've come full circle with now. But for Kobe, for a guy who at one point wanted to be traded from the Los Angeles Lakers to then come back to this franchise and allow himself to become the icon that he became, Kobe means a lot of things to a lot of different people. But to the folks of Los Angeles, he is their guy, especially for folks who grew up in the last 20 to 25 years watching Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was their Michael, and I think that's what folks really have to understand about the generation of ball players that are playing now, the Kyrie Irvings of the world, and the generation of players that are playing today. Kobe was their guy. It wasn't Michael. So the closest thing that they ever got to see in terms of a version of Michael Jordan was Kobe Bryant, and he was that guy night in and night out. We all remember the 81-point game that he had against the Toronto Raptors. We all remember the crucial rebound that he had against the San Antonio Spurs, some of the great playoff performances that he had in winning those championships and putting himself in position to win 5 titles. But for Kobe means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But for me, I'll always remember how tough he was and how much of a competitor. He was the closest one that I saw over the last 20 to 25 years that matched the competitive fire of Michael Jordan. I don't think anybody wanted to win more than Kobe did over the last 20 to 25 years. And I think that's proven in what you saw in his career and how he was honored by the Lakers earlier this week. But a Hall of Famer of the highest order. Hats off to Kobe Bryant, number 8 and number 24, having his number retired by the Lakers.
Yeah. Kobe was a monster. He was an assassin, says Courtney Harden. Mamba mentality. And he wanted to take the last shot. He wasn't looking to pass it. He wasn't looking to get an assist, because he was able to put a team on his back. And that's I think the unique difference between Kobe and and between Jordan. Shout out to Kicking It with Key C. You're tuned into the BS3 Sports Show. Special in-studio guest with Kevin Gray, Casa de la Studio, as I like to say it. But the next topic we wanted to definitely get into, Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas. They reconcile after a long feud. If you didn't see it, I would definitely say you go look it up, because it was a real man moment. It was a moment where they decided to put their differences aside. They decided to not allow this feud to continue to go on. And I was very proud. I was proud to be a fan of both of them. You know, both of them were crying. Both of them were showing emotion. And it was a great sit-down conversation. So they have this new thing on NBA TV. I think it's called Players Only, or Players Tribune.
Yeah, Players Only.
Players Only. Mm-hmm. And so it was amazing. And I definitely wanted to get your thoughts, because I think as guys in their 30s are up, we remember Isaiah, we remember Magic, and seeing these guys now and how they carry themselves, to me, is a example to us all.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the dynamics between Isaiah and Magic now, especially after all that they've been through, positively and negatively. Magic has obviously come through some very tough times, obviously dealing with his HIV diagnosis and living with that now for the last, 2017, the last 26 years that he's lived with this diagnosis, and seeing the things that he's been able to accomplish off the basketball court. And Isaiah Thomas having up and downs with his own career as a coach in the NBA, as a GM and front office personnel with the New York Knicks, and some of the off-the-court issues that he's had. To see these two individuals come together, there's been obviously some mixed feelings about how folks feel about Isaiah, given some of the things and histrionics that have surrounded him over the last several years. But these two were bitter rivals. I mean, when you talk about the Lakers and the Pistons, the bad boys versus the Showtime Lakers, and the competitiveness between both Magic and Isaiah, who would seal the beginnings of games with a kiss to each other before games, and now to see them come full circle over the last 25 to 30 years now, it was a powerful moment. I haven't seen the full interview between the two of them, and only seen the clip of what they showed so far, but I imagine these two obviously caught up and were able to put a lot of differences aside, and a lot of animosity aside between the two of them, mostly surrounding their competitiveness and their fire on the basketball court. But now seeing these two men grow up in our lives, in the spotlight over the last 25 years, and to see them come together in this moment, hopefully it's something that will continue for them as they continue to not only rebuild their friendship, but also their legacies are intertwined with one another, whether it be the Pistons or the Bad Boys winning those 2 championships, competing against the Lakers, and obviously Magic with his 5 titles. Their legacies will always be intertwined with one another, and the competitiveness that they show on the court is some of the greatest things that we've ever seen. I remember watching highlights of Isaiah Thomas score 25 points on a bum ankle against the Los Angeles Lakers, and his just competitive fire that he had, and wanting to be the best because he had such a massive chip on his shoulder. But it was a powerful moment between the two of them, and I hope that they can continue their reconciliation going forward. But it was pretty cool to see at least that minute and a half so clip of them bringing themselves back together again.
Definitely. So other news around the NBA, the Rockets are killing it. They're on fire. Their 14-game winning streak did end. Chris Paul is going to be out for a little while for an injury. Also, you got the Christmas Day matchups. Curry's not going to be playing versus the Cavs. And to me, this is going to be an interesting matchup between these Cavs and the Warriors. Now, you don't have Isaiah Thomas. He's not going to be coming back, I believe, until January, or towards the middle or end of January. Curry's not playing. So I think you got an interesting matchup. But talk a little bit about the matchups for Sunday Christmas Day that you're excited about.
Yeah, obviously the games, Christmas Day, that marks the unofficial beginning of the NBA season. Obviously with the NFL going on, the NBA doesn't really get its spotlight until Christmas Day. And some of the featured games, obviously, Cleveland taking on Golden State, the defending NBA champions. As you mentioned, Steph Curry will not